Hey everybody, it's Ivan Abler here with Rebellion Hockey and Slapshots, Cellys, and StoryTime. This is podcast video number one, so I'm really excited to put this together. The purpose of this is to share some information that can be helpful and fun with our Rebellion family. Those that know of us, they know that we have 10 different spring teams, in the neighborhood of 200 families that are part of the greater Rebellion family, and then when we add the families that are involved in some of our other aspects of our hockey development, there's lots of families, and I want to give back. And one way of giving back is introducing them to some great hockey people that can add some, give us some advice, some good advice, some good stories, and some value for you guys. So I'm pretty pumped to have my friend Bastian Berti as our first guest ever. It's the last time I'll say that. First guest ever here on Slapshot, Cellys, and Storytime. So many of you don't know him. Some of you do. He is the founder of Bastion Hockey, or not Berti Hockey, not Bastion Hockey, Berti Hockey, and he's just a man of hockey. He loves hockey, and he loves helping players get better and develop and keep enjoying hockey. I have the pleasure of having him as one of our coaches in of one of our 2009 born teams, and they've launched here about at the time of this recording, anyways. They've launched about a week ago, post tryouts and team setup, and now they're raring to go. And maybe that's enough from me. I'm gonna now introduce you to Bastian Berti, as you can see on the screen. And Berti, good to see you.
Good to see you. It's like we meet again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Ivan. You kind of said a few things about Berti hockey, and you've kind of went back and forth with Bastian and Berti. But first of all, I'm honored, and I'm a little bit nervous that you're giving me first dibs at it, because you never get a second chance to make a good first impression. So I really hope I'll be able to carry the banner with pride and efficiency today. To getting back to my participation with Rebellion Hockey, and as well why you know me as Berti, and most people know me as Berti. It's not like I'm some kind of famous soccer or football player that goes by one name. Quick story on that. When I moved here, 1990, I didn't know anybody here, but hockey had always been part of my life. So I went to a bunch of shinny. I didn't know anybody. It was through a guy that I played ball hockey with. So I show up at these skates, and I have my old junior jerseys, my whole old hockey jerseys, and and nobody, who's that guy? This guy's Berti. And ironically enough, I ended up meeting a business partner, a guy who would become a business partner of mine for close to 25 years. And he got to know me at those skates, those sessions, and he introduced me to everybody as Berti. Even when I was in the industry, I went by one name. Even now, in my different line of work as a media sales consultant for Post Media, I introduced myself as Berti, and that's how people know me. So if you were a bit confused between Bastian and Berti, you're certainly forgotten by doing that, because you're not the first one. That's why I decided to call my hockey school, my hockey program, Berti Hockey, because it was the simplest way to connect to who I am.
That's the beauty of hockey. Everybody has a lot of times people, their nickname is just their last name. maybe sometimes with
Yes,
a C.
and Bertie was easy because it came from the back of my jerseys.
Yeah, it's a catchy name too. So
Yeah, until you have to spell it, until you are my son, and to this day he still doesn't have a name of his own. He's just known as Bertie as well. And speaking of my son, and in your intro you talked about families involved in the rebellion, and that's, to me, hockey has been part of my life. And it started by the time, basically I was born. My dad always played hockey as well. There's a lot of information on my website at birdiehockey.ca. But you could say that I was born into hockey. And my main goal for teaching, for being involved in hockey, is that to be able to pass along my love for the game, like my dad did to me. And if you can skate till you're 90 years old, then I think I would have done my job.
and
If
you're
you
almost
end up,
there, right?
I'm close. I'm close. Thank you very much. Is this the time where I stop and then you ask me the next question, like, talk about how Birdie Hockey started?
Absolutely, that's exactly it. Yeah, you're the host now. Hey, I'm Ron McLean, and you're you're done.
No, you can't say the other guy. It didn't end up good.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. It's nice to learn about people, I find. And in my business, away from hockey, it's all about learning about people and their background. It's always interesting. Everybody has a story, and everybody has their why, for different passions in their life. And it's always fascinating, and it's always nice to listen to those stories. So I mean, you've told us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about more of maybe about your hockey life, and then why Birdie Hockey? Why did you build that, and why are you doing the great things that you're doing now?
Well, thank you. Birdie Hockey, it's just the culmination of 50 plus year of me being involved in hockey. It started before I was born. My dad, through his high school back in Quebec, around Montreal, in Longueuil, Greenfield Park, Saint-Lambert, Saint-Hubert, played his what we would say high school hockey against Henri Richard, against Pocket Rocket, and they actually signed their pink card at the same time. The pink card back then was kind of like a contract or a binding agreement, that if ever you were going to have to play a chance to play professional hockey, you would have to play with the Canadians, les Canadiens, and there was no money, nothing involved. For my dad, nothing came out of it, and we all know what happened with the Pocket Rocket. So right there, like, it was kind of written in stone, or in snow for that matter, that I was going to be around hockey. My dad ended up playing a few months with the Quebec Aces of 52, 53. And then life took over and he started working, and he just played for the fun of it, like anybody else. And, he ended up moving to Sherbrooke with my mom and my sister. And obviously Sherbrooke was the hometown of the Sherwood Drillette hockey stick factory. So there again, it was like, I had to be in a hockey world. And funny enough, when you played rep on a traveling team in Sherbrooke, you were given some of the world famous 50-30 hockey sticks. So again, until I played junior, I always used a 50-30 Featherlight. Everybody who's played hockey that's listening to us right now, that's over maybe 30, knows what the Featherlight 50-30 was. And unfortunately, when I ended up playing junior, our team was, I guess, Canadian was one of the sponsors. And I ended up I can say that now because they don't exist. They were worst sticks ever, but I had no choice. I had to use them. There was those 6001 and a white fiberglass. So luckily enough, I live close to the rink, and that was up north in Jonquière, Quebec. I used to come to the rink hours before games, and I would take 4 or 5 sticks and ask the trainer for a bunch of tools and filers and tapes and stuff, just so I could try to make that 6001 Canadian stick, as good for me as it could be. And obviously, if it didn't work, or I missed the net or didn't score that night, it was always the stick's fault. That's how it works. So I played a bunch of hockey back east, for all the right and wrong reason, didn't go further. After my junior, I started working in broadcasting, and through broadcasting, I still played. We used to have a media touring team. We would go play against other teams for charity events and stuff like that. So I still played hockey. And then, I ended up moving here through hockey, met a bunch of people, ended up playing a lot of hockey with all kinds of guys. And that's where I met a lot of kind of the pro and the contacts I still have today. I did a lot of that back east as well. But those are the people that I probably won't say any names, but they played in the NHL. They're from Sherbrooke, so there's not that many. And here I coached a bunch of guys in the Sherwood Parkmont hockey system. I was a hockey player development for a while for the SPMHA, and then my kid moved on to the Kings, so I got involved in the Kings coaching and tryout evaluations and so on and so forth. And through that, obviously, usually guys who play with the Kings, if they keep pushing the puck till they're midget and midget triple, then they will go on to junior or college or pro, minor pro, or NHL. And to this day in the summer, not under Berti hockey, more under a more anonymous way, we skate with the pro players. We don't teach them a lot. We're more there as reminder and basically pushing pylons around to facilitate the drills so they can maximize their ice time. And when I kept doing that, and my son decided not to go play junior hockey, I ended up having a lot of time. And honestly, that's what brought me to start Berti hockey. My dog and I, we can only do so many things and have so many walks. I decided it was time for me to give back a bit, and it was not easy. The first year, I gave away my sessions to create some traction, and I had so much fun that now, as long as I can pay for my ice, I just run sessions as much as I can, as much as my day job allows me. And that's how I met you. And I'm very, very, very happy that on top of doing Berti hockey, I can get involved in the Rebellion program.
Yeah, and maybe I'll add to that is that's how we met. We have a mutual friend that knew that was a family friend of ours that said, "Hey, you should check out this Berti," and he gave me a card, and my son went and hopped in on some 3-on-3, and yeah, he had a blast. But it wasn't your normal 3-on-3. When it got to that point, it was all of a sudden stop, okay, and kind of go over, okay, why did people move this way and that way? And it was kind of interesting. It was something different that I hadn't experienced. And with my son, I've done all kinds of hockey camps and different scenarios, and it's hard to ever run across something that's unique. So I kind of like that. Berti was a great guy, and so a few years later, here we are. I know that you have a kind of a philosophy when it comes to your camp. So maybe tell us about kind of, kind of your philosophy when it comes to those.
Yes, I'm going to take 3 seconds here, and I know you will. You will give me a chance. Unfortunately, that common friend is is not with us anymore, and
Yeah.
I never got to really know him a lot. It was simply playing men's shinny hockey on Sunday afternoon, and I'm very grateful I got to know him, and I'm also grateful that he gave us a chance to connect. So without more or less, I'd like to have a warm thought for him and his family.
Absolutely. A toast to him. Yeah. Good friend.
Goes to him. We can do it off the air.
Absolutely.
It's really funny what's happening right now, because my dad's background was in broadcasting. My mom was a performer as well, and my previous career back east was in the media, and I've done these type of things since I was 8 years old. So it's kind of funny. I'm kind of happy you're giving me the opportunity to keep going. In regards to my philosophy, you know what? Nobody's going to reinvent the game of hockey, even if analytics people are trying to. I guess you guys know where I stand. Hockey is a game. It's the most beautiful game in the world. It is also one of the most difficult to play, because it involves so many specific skills that need to be acquired. Skating, handling the puck that you have to score with, not with your hands, not with your feet. There's a stick in between, and if you do it at a certain level, it's doing that at full speed while somebody's trying to take your head off. So it's a very, very beautiful, but it's also a very unforgiving game. So for me, what I wanted to do with Berti Hockey, the name says it all. It's Berti Hockey, basic skills, simple drills, 3-on-3. I'm gonna go straight to the 3-on-3. The reason why my 3-on-3 is a little bit different is because 3-on-3 is a way to understand time and space. It's a way to understand the room and where to go, where to turn, not to get rid of the puck because you work so hard to control it. And sometimes 3-on-3, what happens is that if one of the 6 players on the ice is either unfortunately lower on the skill and skating level, or the other way, higher on the skill and skating level, well, it becomes 1-on-3, or it becomes a 3-on-1, and nobody learns anything doing that. So quickly, my 3-on-3 philosophy is that usually the way I manage that is that, let's say it's a half an hour as part of a session, or let's say it's a full hour. The first 15-20 minutes, I will let the kids play. Just whistle so everybody changes, everybody gets the same ice time, and I don't care how good each team is. And then after that, I'm going to start just maybe reorganizing for about 20 minutes. I'll reorganize the groups of 3. So it's a little bit more even, that every kid gets to touch the puck, because it's all about touching the puck. And then the last half or last 20 minutes, it's going to be guided 3-on-3, where I pick my spots where I can use that as a teaching moment. A kid has the puck, dumps it in. Why do you do that? You don't need to dump the puck in. You have 100 feet of ice behind you. Just regroup and look at what you're doing. And then they slowly understand, how not to get rid of the puck, how to use the ice, how to regroup, how not to force a pass. In 3-on-3, you should never force a pass. You should never do a blind pass. You should never dump the puck. And you should never skate yourself into a corner. So those are the type of things that I'd like to, no matter what level the players all together are, or level of that specific skate is, the 3-on-3 is a guided one. In regards to simple drills, what I found through a lot of exposure to different coaches and different mentality is that sometimes the drills are so complicated, the kids spend more time trying to understand where to go than how to do it, and how to actually process the drill to improve what they actually need to improve. We're not teaching a circus act. We're not teaching a parkour trajectory here. We're just teaching. So we do drills that are simple, but that will teach the kids the basic skills they need to perform better, whether the level they are at. My goal is not to tell parents, oh, your child is house 5. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. They are usually the guys who play all their lives, or girls actually, because they don't get fed up with the game. Whether your child is house 5 or AAA, it's not, for me, my job is not to make them reach the next level. It's to give them all the tools and all the skills according to their God-given talent, and hopefully some work ethic and the love of the game that will make them as good as they can be at the level they are. And automatically it will translate to them improving and maybe make the team second, third level higher than they were a year before. And if you're a double or a triple A player, what it will do, it will basically hone the skills you have with a mix of understanding that the way you pick up a puck, for example, on the dump in off the wall, there's many ways to get off the wall to be more active after you do that. How to do it. It doesn't really matter if you play house 5. In all due respect, you'll have all the time in the world to get off the wall. But if you play at a higher level, there's little tricks, little positioning of the feet, how to bolt out of there. And all that is done through simple skills, but at the level that they are able to maximize those skills. I don't know if it makes sense.
Well, that makes perfect sense. And, it's something that you'll want to witness. So, in the write up for this video, you'll have a link to Berti's site and an opportunity to to put kids in any of his camps. There's numerous age groups that he has offerings for, and what I like is that like a good coach can adjust to his audience, I guess, or to his pupils, and so he has a way of pushing your child no matter what level they're at, and trying to push them to be as good as they can be. So and that comes in handy in one age group or multiple age groups.
And I have I have kind of 3 expressions for that. My first one is, there's nothing I do in Berti hockey, and by extension with the Rebellion, that is done in a void. Every drill, every edge work, I'm not saying every stride a child will take, but everything we do is progression. Every session, we start with some skating and edge work. Then we'll do a little bit of individual puck control. Then we'll do a drill with cones or with tight turns with a puck. Then suddenly we do the same thing, but then we introduce a pass. And then after that, we end up doing a breakout or a drill where 4 kids are involved, but they all do all the little skills that we learned throughout the practice until that point, or throughout the year if we talk session to session. So nothing is done with a void. And I try in a void, and I try also to make everything part of game awareness, and also how to utilize that in a game. Unfortunately, these last 2, for now, it's not possible.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to phase into a next question with you. And also, guys, Berti has some great stories. You're going to have to listen all the way to the end to get those funny stories. Some of them you might have to go and have a beer with them to get, but we'll see what we can pull out of him today.
Well, I can always tell the story, but some of them I will leave the names alone. But some of them I can definitely name drop a few.
For sure. Now, where I want to go next is, it's part of giving value to the Rebellion families and anybody watching this is kind of how, any tips that somebody who has had a long career in the hockey world can share. Obviously right now, we're when we're recording this, it's April 2021, and we're still in the COVID era. And so I guess, Bertie, do you have any tips for parents that, when it comes to their children being in hockey or, I guess any sport really, it could probably translate to other sports, but any advice for, for some hockey kids and hockey parents?
Well, there's always the general ones, but what I'd like to do is kind of put it in today's context. You alluded to COVID. I kind of ended up my philosophy by saying that unfortunately right now we cannot apply what the kids learn in game situations.
Mm-hmm.
And in regards to the general tips or advice, my advice will be the same that every parent could understand, because they've heard it all the time. Whether you want your child, your boy or your girl, to play hockey because you played hockey, because you did not and you felt that you would have liked to, the important thing is that the child wants to go to practice, wants to go to games, and wants to be part of that world. And keep in mind that when a child plays hockey, whether it's house, rep, or the highest level possible until he's 18 or she's 18, it becomes kind of a way of life. So we have to be able to accept, for all the rights and the wrongs, that there's going to be commitments to that. And unless it becomes crazy, it's actually a great way to raise a family, because whether it's dancing, soccer, figure skating, horseback riding, the science club at school, like whatever our kids get involved in, if we do it, if the child does it with passion, interest, and desire, it will become part of the family's life. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes hockey gets a bad rap, but when we look at it, it's like, the one bad apple that, wrecks it for all. The same way we've all known quote unquote crazy soccer parents. We've known crazy spelling bee parents. And that's the parent's problem. It's not the child. But in general, whether a child is sport, academic, social, artistically inclined, the activities will be part of the child's life. So it's a commitment that becomes a family one. But in all those activities, hockey included, it will enhance and it will just make your life better. And hopefully will teach your boy or your girl life skills, organization skills, and the social aspect of it that will make them a better person, whether they quit at 12 or whether they quit at 100. So that's the general one I want to talk about. If we talk about in COVID time, we hear a lot of parents right now, and for sake of conversation, let's forget about kids that are of draft year, kids who were in line for a scholarship. This is different. This is really tragic for these kids. This is serious things. The families, the girls or the boys, have worked all their lives to either be drafted, to either have a chance at a scholarship, or even to wear the colors of their local junior teams. And they're getting that dream taken away from them. Let's not talk about those, because that's just not fun, and it's not really what we're about here. But in regards to the basic child playing hockey right now that has not been able to play games, grandma hasn't been able to see him, let alone see them play hockey, I wouldn't worry at all. Actually, this time of no games has given the chance to all the association, to all the coaches, to kind of do what Berti hockey does. Berti hockey was always a complement to what the coaches and the association did not have time to teach. I'm not the only one that knows to play hockey, you got to skate. To play hockey, you got to be able to shoot. But unfortunately, with the structure of minor hockey, it is what it is. There's not a lot of ice time. There's not a lot of opportunities to practice these basic skills because coaches have to to teach a few systems. They have to play games, and there's not a lot of practice time. So they, even if they know they should teach it, and all of them know how to do it, all our coaches are extremely well qualified, they just could not. So this year, kids have had a chance to be exposed to simpler practices because it had to be brought down to the basic level of skating, shooting, passing, and a little bit of better conditioning. And now for the parents in spring hockey, whether it be with Rebellion or the other ones, it's actually a benefit to your child, because everything being equal, the odds are we're going to start season in September, fingers crossed, and the level of hockey will be enhanced, because now when the kids do drills, when the kids do breakout, when the kids play games, when the kids are involved in competitive hockey, they would have perfected, and they would have had a full year of honing and getting better at skating, getting better at shooting, getting better at passing, and that those individual skills will help them implement better the drills and the systems, hopefully not too many, that they will be taught. So it's a positive. Don't panic. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I think if anything else, there has been a lot of the development time this year, and those that have kind of taken advantage of it. Yeah, I think you're right. I think maybe in the long run, it will be we can look back at it as a positive. And I mean that's just a way to always look at things. Try to get when you get
for the fun of it, I hinted at the fact that even to this day in the summer, we hang around with the pros and the college kids and the junior kids. What do you think they do? They do scales, cones, pucks under the sticks, obstacle course, jumping over sticks. And then the last 15 minutes, just like 7 years old, we let them loose like dogs in an off-leash park, and then they play 3-on-3. Well, that 3-on-3 is borderline world class, but the first 45 minutes, they basically did the same thing that our kids are going to do with the Rebellion at Berti Hockey, but at a different level, with more restriction and more at a higher skill level, because that's where they are. But these guys still work on their skills all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that I don't know people realize, is that some of those players that you get a chance to coach that are, pro, semi-pro, junior players, is that they didn't get to that point from, just magically. They put in the time, they put in the training, and a lot of the simple drills, a lot of the simple stuff that you coach and some of your partners that you work with that coach that high level caliber player in the Edmonton area. They just put in the time and do those little things and the simple things.
Yeah, I reiterate that I'm mainly a pylon pusher, and I do get to participate in drills when they need a guy to go around or to make an easy pass.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing you'll know about Berti is that he's a humble man, and he's an honorable man. We're gonna jump into stories here in a second, and he could name drop all kinds of stuff. But off camera, we've talked about, it's not about name dropping. It's about sharing some advice and some different perspectives for hockey families watching this, and that's the bigger picture of things. So unless you want to add anything, we're gonna maybe hop into some stories. And guys, don't remember to subscribe. We're gonna have a number of videos in the Slapshots, Cellys, and Storytime video podcast, and don't miss out. You want to hit that notification bell so that you know when the next one comes up. And we're gonna have all kinds of guests. Berti might be the only French guest we have. But
I was gonna ask you, will there be a caption option?
Yeah. There's the post video edit will have translation on the bottom, for everything Bertie has said up to this point. It's funny because when I've obviously been watching many of Bertie's skates, and he seems to enunciate better on the ice. He's in his element, and as you notice in this video here, he's always moving. He's always moving. Even when he's talking, he's going side to side. He's got ants in his pants, and you know when somebody has a passion for something, it just oozes. And so Bertie is a hockey lifer, and so that's why I enjoy his company and try to get some of the knowledge out of that French noggin of his. But unless you want to add anything.
Keep in mind that I'm a radio guy.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'm moving. That's why I'm moving around.
Couple of radio guys here. Well, I mean, the third name in the podcast is StoryTime. So, what are you going to share with us?
Well, I got two for you for today.
Okay.
And you won't have a choice. You're gonna have to have me back unless there's a boycott. You were talking about
pause for a second, Bertie. Is there there's also Cellys. Is there a certain Celly that you used to use when you scored a goal? I'm sure you've scored a few goals in your day, even men's league, Is there a go-to Celly, or were you kind of the one, act like you've been there before type of guy, or are you more like a Nail Yakupov, just like sliding down the ice?
When I played, I was small and I knew my place, so I never really celebrated, but not in a look at me, like too far on the other side where it's cocky by doing nothing. The only time that I celebrate, even to this day in men's league, is when the other team deserves it. If I don't do it in beer league and shinny hockey, because we're all a bunch of buddies. But we used to play money tournaments and stuff like that a while back. And you go somewhere and it's not supposed to be hitting, but you end up playing against the hometown team with hometown refs. And I'm 5'0", so you get your bumps and bruises, but if you don't want to go, you don't play. So that part didn't bother me because it is what it is. But then in those situations, you get a power play and you score a goal, then I would kind of maybe look at somebody and say, you got to think about that one next time, right? But that's about the gist of it. I'm not much of a silly guy. I like the kids I'm around to act like they've done it before. How's that?
Okay, that's good. That's good. All right, let's get to some stories.
Okay, earlier you were talking about, maybe what to do, advice for parents. One of them involves actually that. When I was back east, and that's a player that will remain nameless. When I was back east, I played a lot of ball hockey. It's very popular now here, but when I was, 17, 18, 19 years old, and in my early 20s, I played a lot of ball hockey. We were lucky enough to go in a few national championships with teams made from guys from all over. Because, ball hockey, there's no hitting. And if you can run, you may as well be 6'4", which I was not. But in ball hockey, it's not an issue. And one of our players on our team was underage. He ended up having a long career in the NHL, and he was also a lacrosse player, and his brother was with us as well, and he played lacrosse. And for a few summers, the two brothers used my car more often than I did because we wanted to have that young 14, 15-year-old hotshot on our ball hockey team. But for that, he also would have to play lacrosse because his parents did not want him to play ice hockey in the summer. So he could play ball hockey, but he had to play lacrosse because they were a lacrosse family. So I ended up lending my car to the two brothers for a few summers in a row, just so we would be able to have the young stud on our team. And not to this day, but until I was back east, we used to always bother his older brother. His name is Sylvain. Saying, Sylvain, you know, the only reason why I let you drive my car is because you could drive your brother. And even when I moved here, when he played in the NHL, he used to leave me tickets at the will call at the old Northlands Coliseum. And one day he left me a ticket, and he was a healthy scratch. I never had a ticket after that.
You're bad luck.
we laughed about it, but then he ended up being traded to a team back east, and you know, he came here less often, and then, you know, he got traded to another team in original six in the States, and he's still with that team. And actually his son was drafted by Anaheim last draft. So that's a guy from Sherbrooke that I have a long connection with, and the family as well.
No, nice. So your vehicle was a recruitment tool to try to get the young hotshot.
Well, and it's funny because he ended up playing in the queue in Trois-Rivières, and at that time I was in between jobs in broadcasting before I moved here, and I used to drive him to go to the, you know, when he had a few weeks off or a few days off. So a car was a kind of I wonder if I would not have had a car, maybe I would have never known them.
Yeah, a bike wouldn't have worked the same.
No, especially when he was many 100 miles from like between Sherbrooke and Trois-Rivières. You know, it was not that far, but still a good haul.
Was it a cool car?
The first one, you know, I remember it was orange Mazda 323, and my other one was a black Mazda MX-6. That was kind of like my yuppie car.
Nice. All right.
We're talking mid 80s here.
You
know, they made cars. Yeah, I'm 57 years old. You got to give me a chance.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. Cool. Got another one for us?
Yeah, I got another one, and that involves not mini stick, but just about my dad, as I told you, was a hockey guy, played a lot, ended up being in broadcasting, and through his broadcasting career, you know, he stayed close to the hockey world. You know, knowing Henri Richard. We also knew the owner of a restaurant that you know, Serge Chavard was owner of as well. So my dad kept some. If you don't know, you can Google Serge Chavard. He was part of the big three with the Montreal Canadian in the 70s and early 80s. Serge Chavard, Guy Lapointe, and Larry Robinson. Anyways, so he was in contact, and in the mid 70s, you know, there was a guy playing for the Montreal Canadian. His name was Yvan Cournoyer. He was called the Road Runner. And he was my favorite player because he was short, he was fast, and, you know, I thought I was him. Obviously, I was the only one who thought that. So my dad kind of always wanted to get me some souvenirs and autographed pictures and everything. But Yvan Cournoyer was one of the only guy in the history of the NHL who played both hands. He played left and right.
Oh, really?
And you could Google and YouTube some of his stuff. So not all the time. He was initially left-handed, but he would sometimes take a slap shot right-handed. When he used to come to the blue line, he would make a move and then switch hands and make a pass to kind of give himself a better angle and more time and space, because hockey hasn't changed. It's all about time and space. So he had a very weird stick with a weird heel and the blade that was like, it probably would make Leon Draisaitl's stick normal compared to what Cournoyer had. So my dad, through all his contact, is able to get me an autograph Yvan Cournoyer stick. Well, I had it. It was great. And, after a few weeks, what do you think I did with it?
You got to play with it, right?
And you know what? And it was not on the ice. It was road hockey.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no, yeah.
So I don't have it anymore.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. It's like,
so that's
good.
those I can say those names because they're not directly related to me.
Oh, man, that would have been nice on your wall. Yvan
Yeah.
Cormier.
I have other stuff. Anyways,
Yeah.
we
Whoops.
could keep going, but
Yeah.
it's more about the rebellion. It's more about hockey development, and it just so happens that I was lucky enough to be in environments where I was put in those positions. But I'm like any other coaches. We understand what's important for the kids to learn, and if we can kind of salt and pepper it with little fun things, well, it's a bonus.
Awesome. I know that we're looking forward to having you as our first-time coach within the Rebellion group, and your team is excited to continue throughout spring, and hopefully at some point we get some games as well. But regardless, they're in good hands, and there's going to be some good development, and if and when we get to games, they'll be ready, and we'll continue on, right?
But I promise you that if we have games this year, we won't have any power play nor PK units, though.
Yeah.
Every boy and girl, we don't have any ladies on my team, but any boys and girls at a lower level. When I say lower, I'm not talking about the skills. I'm talking about younger age should be exposed to all situations and technically to all positions. And I know it's not always a popular opinion, but it's such a beautiful game. Why restrict the exposure?
I agree. I think sometimes some kids get stuck in a position too early, or because mom and dad said so, or because in some small communities you have the same coach year after year, and the coach decides, say, Billy, you're going to be a defenseman from here on in. And then
this one I'm really cannot name any names, but in Sherwood Park here, we have a child. We had a child that was a forward, and my coaches and I, we said, this guy's got to play D, and his game blossomed on D, and he ended up playing 4 years at least in the WHL as a defenseman. And at the beginning, like, his parents were not impressed by us. And I'm not saying that we were geniuses. It's not what it is at all. It's more about the child. We just felt that his game was better suited to play D. And who knows how it would have worked if he would have stayed on forward. We'll never know.
Yeah.
But it's just to say that sometimes we just pigeonhole kids too soon. And not only in sports and not only in hockey, we all know that. But we're like electricity. We always take the path of less resistance, and sometimes it's not the best way. And I told my kids this year, and I say the same thing to the Berti hockey kids. I want you kids to get out of your comfort zone. If you don't get out of your comfort zone, you'll never learn anything. You'll just repeat the same thing again, and just usually if you keep repeating the same thing, you end up getting worse at it. And I want them to fall. I want them to make mistakes. I want them to miss a cone on a drill. I want them to shoot wide or to miss the net, because that's part of the learning process. Obviously, there has to be a learn and a progression, but at the beginning, I want them to fall when they do edges, because if they just do it safely, well, they'll never learn anything. And another way to do that, to get out of their comfort zone, is to put them in situation where they they've never been into, and by not having power plays, by rotating the line, by not having PK at the beginning, whatever the results are, they get to learn and understand how the game unfolds, because it's a very easy game if you don't force it. But if you're intimidated because you don't know, you may just quit, and that's a shame. Like, hockey is such a social game, a social way to go through life, that not to mention that it's good exercise.
Absolutely, yeah. Awesome. Well, Berti, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, especially when it's the start of the show, the first episode. It can only get better from here, I guess.
Well, just wait, okay? Just wait.
Oh, guys, you know what? I can personally vouch for Berti. I put my son in his hands for a few camps, and he's enjoyed it, which is also is important. But just watching it, I can see progress on what Berti teaches, and so that's a main reason why I wanted to bring him into the club and take advantage of that knowledge. And I know that his team will do well in learning and advancing over the spring. And so yeah, so like I said before, below there'll be some details. You can go visit bertihockey. I think it's .ca or .com, and it'll be down below.
I'm a little bit of I sell a digital solutions for a real living. So when I registered, I did register both. So even if you go .com, it'll be rerouted to .ca.
Okay, I was gonna go and buy .com if you didn't use it.
No, and I also have .net and .org, so good luck.
Oh, look at that, eh? Okay, now you got his bases covered. So hopefully you've enjoyed episode number 1. Hopefully you can take some information that Berti has shared with us and apply it to your own life and in your own hockey life or life in general. And I think that'll be the focus from here on in, is having guests that can bring some value, some different perspective than yours, or maybe confirm your own perspective. But it's all about just kind of helping everybody grow, whether you're within the Rebellion family or outside of it. And so it's at the end of the day, we're within Rebellion, we're trying to build good people. It's obviously not everybody that plays for Rebellion is gonna make the show, but hopefully they leave as better people. So I don't know if you have any closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you. And one of the main reasons why I like the Rebellion philosophy is that the spring hockey doesn't take over the family's life and wallet. So I think it's a good balance in keeping the kids close to the game, but also allowing the family and the kid himself or herself the chance to do something else. There's nothing wrong in being in contact with hockey year round, but there's definitely very different ways to do so, and Rebellion allows that to happen.
I appreciate that. That's the foundation of us, and that's how we'll continue. So with that said, we'll wrap things up. Thanks again for joining us on episode number 1. Subscribe, click the notification bell, look at all the details below about Rebellion and also about Berti Hockey, and about details about our next guest. He may or may not be as funny as Berti, but we'll see. We'll see you next time.
But he or she will speak English. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Bye for now. Catch you later.